Okay, I'm turning on all the audio. I'm a bit early to arrive. I said it'd be 7, but I actually set up in good time today. How is everybody? Let me just read what's going on. Oh, hey Ricochet, how are you? How is everybody? Yeah, Ricochet. Really miss you, bro. Had a great time out in Vegas with Ricochet and his family. And yeah, feels like forever since we've done one of these, doesn't it? I'm good. I'm good. Let me just close down the video I had playing on myself live on YouTube because this is a little bit delayed. I still haven't figured out how to fix that, so it's a little bit delayed, and watching myself be a bit delayed is a bit off-putting. But yeah, so I'm good. I missed all your faces as well, even though I can't see them. But yeah, I've been actually a lot better recently. Uh, I got 14 hours of sleep last night, and the night before I slept a lot. Just too much sleep almost, because, yeah. But I've been doing a lot of thinking over the last few weeks, and I started working on a new project the other day that I really hope to show all of you guys. And I'm so excited for it. It's with this rapper that I posted a link to a while ago on my community page called Tony Humphreys. And he basically drove down with his drummer T Big, and we filmed something like, it was just awesome. It was the roughest time filming it, but you'll see it when it comes time to release. I'm gonna put it up everywhere and like really push it to be seen. And yeah, no, I've missed everyone a lot. I use Streamlabs, which took me a while to configure and get going. So I did try and use OBS a long time ago, but I didn't really have anything to stream back then. And no one would watch. But I'd like to also say thank you to Jess Rennan, who sent me this amazing stand for all my guitars. There's only 3 on it right now because I actually gave Vic my big red guitar, my massive 335 that I bought, just so he could learn how to play the guitar because, you know, yeah, I think he should learn. So he's been learning and practicing, and if he's watching, it better come back in one piece, or, you know, there's only so much I love you before I start laying the smack down on a bro. But, you know. But yeah, no, it was wonderful. I can put everything nice and neatly. I had a few stands before, but it meant that every guitar had to be separate around the place, and well, it was actually quite space consuming. Let's just say I had no idea this was coming. Like, it showed up, and I was staring at this like package that was about the size of me, and I was like, what could this be? Am I going to open this and a human's going to come out? Maybe like another Joe. And I'd just be like eye to eye with another version of Joe. Yeah, but so, yeah, that was a lovely surprise. And I have a surprise for all of you. And it's something that I've started building. See, after the Tony Humphreys shoot, this whole wave came over me suddenly. And I just realized, like, I don't know if any of you seen how my last reaction went and stuff like that, but the views on my channel started plummeting. And it's not that big of a deal, but like, I started sitting down with myself and I was thinking, you know, a while ago we had the Adventures, then we had what did we have? We also had Wolf versus, you know, Flackers, and that was great fun. The Adventures were great fun. The problem is, after the Adventures, everybody was so busy, and I feel like this whole thing where, you know, yeah, the stats page, exactly, Jess, is like, it's horrible. It's like this whole thing with like YouTube that my dad used to tell me about, like when I was younger. He'd be like, I think he worked with this guy called Ryan Heger, and like a few other YouTubers they'd always say stuff like, every week it's like this whole, you know, especially when you do weekly content, to just try and, you know, do better. And it's like, it's exactly, just do what you enjoy. But I figure sometimes I'm the sort of guy that I can never be satisfied with doing just as good as I did before. I'm like competitive with myself. I'm like a perfectionist. And I came to this realization, like, actually, what am I doing with this channel? Because I watched back like the original Adventures, and I always used to say, I'm doing these to learn to make better productions and stuff like that. And now I've started just doing stuff that isn't me. Exactly. I mean, it is me, but it's not what I started YouTube to do. And this whole reinvigoration of just like this is where I'm meant to be going just came back into me the other day, especially after I made this video with Tony. And I was like, I love making films. I love making like productions. It's what I love doing. And thank you very much. But like, I forgot that happens. That just like, I was like, whoa. But yeah, so I went away and I sat down and I started thinking to myself, okay, what are you doing in life? I don't know if many of you know, but when I quit Spoons, I started a startup year with the government. And it was basically, you've got a year and we're going to give you money to live, to buy your basic needs. And in that year, start up your own business. And if after that year you can't, that's it. We don't provide you with any support. And when I quit my work, I wasn't doing anything with what I later became to be known as, I'd done photos with Ren in the past, but my business wasn't Ren. I actually started a production company with Brigitte. So if any of you know who Brigitte is. And yeah, we've exactly Ricochet. It's a dream job, but it's a mind, like it really does your mind in. And yeah, no, I didn't. I woke up this morning because I lent my camera to Kate, and I gave her a dud memory card accidentally, so I had to run to a shoot to give her a memory card that worked so she could actually capture the photos that she was taking. And yeah, I just jumped out of bed and whacked something in. But yeah, so I started looking into video and I started thinking to myself, how can I be better? And I started watching these guys and they construct these massive camera rigs, and it's something I always wanted to own. And I was watching this guy's camera rig and I looked in it and I realized that's my camera. And then my world just started going, what? And I watched this whole video of the guy putting it together and I realized, oh, that's why I never know where to buy those cameras, because they're not buying those cameras. They're buying the cameras I have and they're building them. And this is what I built. Oh, wait, there's the camera. It's not quite done yet, but she's already a beast. And oh, God, I love this so much. I'm such a nerd for this sort of stuff. But like, whoop, it won't fit. Okay, so in here, the problem I've always had with Vic is I could never ever film in bright daylight, right? And I need an ND filter, because if I'm going to shoot in S-Log and Cinetone, well, not Cinetone, but in S-Log, I need to stop light shooting directly into the sensor by blocking light out. So I'm going to put glass in here. The glass is so expensive, so I'm going to figure out a way to do it, but I'm on the right track. So that's the next thing I'm going to buy, is glass to go in here to protect the lens from too much light. Then you put a massive battery on here, and that battery lasts all day. But what all this stuff does is that feeds to a massive monitor from in there with this HDMI clamp that protects it in there. This is all from Small Rig, by the way. So if anyone else has a camera like mine or any other type of mirrorless camera, you can build this yourself. I'm not sponsored by Small Rig. This is not a sponsorship video. But yeah, the microphone sits here. Of course, I'm going to buy a Zoom in order to record record sound for the video separately. I'm going to figure out a way to do that. But yeah, it sits on these rails and you clip in another thing. I managed to get something in here because the lens was sort of heavy and just almost toppling in on itself. But when I'm done with this, and I'm I'm a little ways off. I've almost figured out how I'm gonna afford it, but basically the back comes in here. I'm gonna try use what I already have to get a few jobs going in the local area in order to make some money to build the rest of it. And yeah, it's gonna be sick. Basically, the battery, everything fits together, and then I've got a cinema camera, or a camera that could shoot cinema quality video. Oh, sick, Ricochet. Well, Ricochet, let's catch up soon anyway, because, I feel like I haven't spoken to you in a while, and I miss you, bro. But yeah, and you have to come down to the UK soon. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm so happy with it. And I've been buying the parts individually, and yeah. So, it's brought. It's strange because for a little while I feel like I lost like the excitement about video and all that. And I've realized in the past couple of days, I spoke to Vic and I was speaking to him earlier about this, and I was like, I'm just not happy. And like, I've been feeling that for a while. And then the other day after that shoot, it was like I suddenly realized this is what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to be pushing myself. I want to make videos. I want to make movies. I want to become like that person. I need to stop thinking, and like I did think this like earlier. I need to stop making my YouTube me trying to, come up with some crazy new idea and make my YouTube what it was meant to be, which was a vehicle to show everybody how I make the videos, how I bring you behind the scenes on the videos that I am making, get the jobs and show you all this stuff and teach you, if you want to be taught, what I'm doing and show you how to do it yourself. And I thought this is much more exciting because instead of having to sit there and think, oh, I need to make this whole thing for YouTube, but I also need to shoot this and then doing three separate things, why don't I just make it one? And there we go, it hit me. And last night when I fell asleep so soundly for the first time, having looked at all this stuff that I'd made and getting these put together. And it was just like this nagging stress had gone. And I was like, from now on, it doesn't matter. I could just have fun doing what I'm doing. And then it was also reading your guys' comments and stuff and going back and looking through them and actually hearing what people are saying, which is, Joe, we don't, need you to do all this and this. We're just happy to see you do this. And I'm like, well, maybe I should listen to people sometimes instead of just listening to the evil thought in my brain, like the evil voice in my brain, which is you're not good enough. You need to do this, because everybody has that, I think. But I think if everyone just did what they loved, which is not possible all the time, but, if you do get the chance to do it and you do it, I think that's what makes people happy. And I think that's the thing that I think I needed to realize is I am lucky enough to be in a position right now where I can do what I love. And so many people don't have that. So maybe I should not take it for granted and just do the thing that I love. Yeah. So we've got this bad boy. I need to put it down safely because I haven't built it enough yet for it to stand without me holding it or leaning against something. Hold on. Whoa. Almost. Stay. Oh, fuck it. I'm just going to put it on the sofa. Okay. Yeah, I didn't say this as I was talking, but thank you so much for that donation, more Kel Bell, please. I hope I said that right. But yeah, thank you. From now on, anything like that is going towards building this and making it better and better and bringing you guys the sort of content that you deserve, because I want to teach everybody that wants to be taught, or if you just want to watch what you're coming along for, I want to teach people the sort of stuff that I've learned. And one of the lessons that I've learned recently is when you're shooting video, one thing that a lot of people get mixed up is like, so this applies sort of to photos as well, but I found photos are much more lenient. Oh, it's Jay Ford here. Hello, Jay Ford. But Jade Ford, I'm not my arch nemesis, but anyway, when you shoot in photography, a lot of things that people will do is they'll try and expose a photo to bring out the image. So you walk into a room and you're thinking, oh, my ISO, my aperture, my shutter speed, it's like a triangle, and you're thinking the different things that you want to expose that image for. I've seen some people when they're shooting video is they'll walk into a room and they'll bring their camera with them and they'll think, oh, the image is so dark. Let me just raise that shutter speed or that aperture so that, or that image is so light, it's so bright. Let me, and they'll expose it by moving their settings. But, I'm in my ADHD world at the moment. I've been fortunate enough to be. Yeah, no, that's so true. Sometimes you do fall in and it comes out of nowhere. That's what happened with me, really. You know, I fell into making YouTube. I fell into all this stuff, and it was because of people like Ren and, Vic that I am here. You know. Oh, thank you very much, Evelyn. Yeah, no. So I'm moving forward with a new. You know what they say? Keep your enemies. You know what they say? Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. That's why I keep you at arm's length. No, that makes you my friend. Wait. Anyway, so yeah, when you go into a room, people sometimes they expose for light, right? The trick to video is you need to forget everything you know about exposing on the camera. If you start moving your settings on your camera, you're going to end up with a totally different video. If you want cinematic video, you want your shutter speed to be low, very low. You want your aperture to be very low because it gives you the field of depth. If you're shooting S-Log, you probably want your ISO sitting somewhere like, I might be wrong here, but I put it at 600 or 800. So I know that sounds insane, but you're not playing. ISO doesn't mean the same thing to a video camera that it does to a photograph, a video to a photograph. So when you can't change the settings on your camera, that's when you need to start thinking, how can I change the light outside of the camera to expose my image properly? And that's where outside lighting comes into play. Like this light I have on me right now that you normally wouldn't see, that just knocked over. I'll use the one that doesn't knock over my internet box and disconnect the whole chat to like this light. No one knows that's there, but it's making sure that this is lit that way to harden the backside of my head so it doesn't look like I melt in with the light. It creates a light shoot in that way. There's a light coming from above me there to light up the features on this side of my face. Not that I particularly want to show everybody the features on that side of my face, but there's lighting everywhere. And when you can change the light outside your camera, there's another thing you can do, and that's put glass in front of your camera that restricts the amount of light that's coming in, allowing you to shoot at lower settings that would normally overexpose your video. And it gets a lot more complicated than that. We've got plenty of time. we've got plenty of time. Sorry, I thought it froze then. We've got plenty of time going forward for me to make videos in which I can show you guys this. So, you know, we will learn, and I'm going to teach it and show it on set as I do things. And this Tony Humphries shoot, I actually was filming with a handheld thing, and I put this on it facing me so you could see my weird facial expressions. Like, you've seen guitar face, right? I have camera face, which is like that as I'm shooting a video. For some reason, it looks like I'm windswept to one side, and it makes me a lot better at filming. So yeah, that is camera face. Like, if you ever seen like guitarists always like that. I was doing it the other day when I ripped off a massive solo, and the only person that saw it was Vic, and he couldn't he couldn't admit to it actually being really good until we were drunk on top of a hill. And then he was like, yeah man, it was actually really good. Anyway. Oh dear. A totally black screen and no sound. Let me just check if it's not for me as well. I did just knock my internet box over. Oh yeah, do you guys want to see my new guitar? Oh, let me sit this internet box up right. Oh shit. Okay. You want to see it? Okay. I'm attached to the computer with that one, so I've got two. This is my really, really cheap Stratocaster that I love, and yeah, this was £100 I bought this for, and it was mainly because it has a crack at the bottom down there, but I got that because the Telecaster that I had broke, but I fixed it and then put a new black pickguard on it by learning how to use a soldering iron, which was quite cool. And then last week, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna relic it anymore. I was looking at it and I was kind of like, I don't trust myself. It could go so wrong so fast. Because you're basically just destroying the guitar. So if you just destroy it a bit too much, suddenly it doesn't look relicked, it just looks destroyed. But the Acoustasonic. Ah, yes, this is the Sonic. That's what I was like looking, and I was like, what's the Sonic? And then I was like, duh, the Sonic Stratocaster. So yeah, I've learned. I'd show you some of it playing if you wanted, but you know, did you take lessons? How I learnt the guitar? I started learning when I was 7 years old or 8 years old, and I stopped for a very long time. And then I started learning again during lockdown. Well, not learning, I just taught myself how to play it again. And then I sort of like chilled out on it, and then back in, I started practicing again, and then over Christmas I was playing Yellow, and well, I was playing it, and Ren was singing, and when I was done, he turned around and he said, "Well, you've gotten a lot better, Joe," and I was like, "What?" And yeah, he never gave me a compliment on my guitar playing before, so it sort of made me think, maybe I should practice a bit more, because practicing so far has made people actually notice me getting better. So I started practicing for like 7 hours a day for the last week, which is excessive, but for the last week I haven't, just, you know. And then yeah, it's quite fun. I could show you a bit. Let's get it set up. I learned how to use the looper pedal now, so I can play a progression in the back and then play over the top. But I've also figured it out, so now I can just sort of figure out how to play. Maybe that's a bit loud. Yellow. I wonder if I can remember how to play it. No. How do I play it? Yeah, brave. Ah, freaking hell. Hold on. Sounds like someone has tuned my guitar out of tune up. I feel like a neighbor's about to knock on my door and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Something like that, and then it's like the middle part is. What breaks guitar? What tunes do I love playing? I usually have been putting on like Jimi Hendrix backing tunes and then just trying to solo over it for like 15 minutes in order to get better at soloing. Or Red Hot Chili Peppers. Which is under the bridge downtown is where I drew some blood. Under the bridge downtown I could not get enough. Like that. Anyway. So it always sounds a bit off. But anyway, single for Spotify. Yeah, that's my guitar. Before the neighbours come and smash my door in and be like, "Oh, it's dinner time on a Sunday. What are you doing? We'll kill you." Joe Strummer. I haven't been reading these. I hope that was okay anyway. Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing is last time I played in a live, I was terrified. And then, like, yeah, they never do play fair. But yeah, whenever I played in a live before, I was always sort of in the back of my head, self-conscious. And then in the last few weeks, I got to a point where I'm like, I know if I it's something Romain said to me as well, is when you play in front of people, and Vic has said this, is that you get worse because you start to think about other stuff except for just playing. Okay, bye Jade, but you start to think of other things but just playing. So when you play stuff in front of people, you need to be that much better at playing it so that when you get worse, you're still at a certain level to play it so that people are like, oh my God. You know what I mean? So it's like when people would say, so can you imagine how good Jimi Hendrix would be if you were in a room with watching him in a room alone play with no one else around him? It's like, yeah, it's probably like about a million times better than he is, even though he's amazing in front of other people, you know? And it was that thing. So now I got to a point where I know that if I get worse by playing in front of other people, it's still good enough that I'm no longer embarrassed about doing it. I hope that makes sense. But yeah. So I've got this stuff coming out with Tony Humphries soon, and I'm really excited to show all of you guys that. And other stuff. brings me back to sort of making tutorials and that. I understand, like, some of you guys is saying, when's the release planned? That's up to him. Basically, it's this thing that I found myself in, which is kind of unique. Is I don't know if you guys have seen this guy Woody that I've been making promos for, and he's like amazing with his song Bittersweet, and he works with two producers called Evil Genius, and another guy that works with them or has worked with them, from what I understand, is Pat. Both Pat and Tony Humphries have worked with them. So is Woody. And it's this interesting circle of people that I've started to get to. So Evil Genius has hired me in a few weeks to go out and film some promos with them. So it's really up to them how they're going to release it and when they're going to release it. But the thing that I like about that entire thing is usually I'm working to someone else's, like with Vic, it's his idea, and then sort of we've learned a way for me to try and figure out how I'm going to take his idea and make it into a video that can be filmed and can be edited. So I take it away and I edit it, I color grade it, I film it. The difference with this thing with Tony Humphries is he showed up and we had this entire plan, but it rained like mad and we couldn't bring my gear out in the rain because it would just get ruined. So very quickly, I thought of this entire strange story that is just completely absurdly nuts, and we made that. So it's like straight from my weird way of thinking, and I enjoyed making it so much, and now I really, really, really want to make more like that. I want to make some crazy stuff. Another thing I want to do on this channel eventually, and this won't be like, I'm not going to say, this is going to be soon, guys. This is going to be, hopefully not that far, but not totally soon. I want to try and make a short film. Not like the adventures, not like the adventure sort of, short film, like a proper cinematic short film with a story. It doesn't need to be the most sensible of story because I'm not good at thinking of sensible stuff. I want it to be something with a start and an end that you feel like you could have seen in the cinema. But I want to start making things with my own. If you look at something and you go, not that mine would be similar in quality, but if you look at something and go, that's Tarantino, I want something that you could look at it and go, that's Joe. Someday at least. And I've realized now that I've quit my job. I've got so long left before this whole thing runs out. So I need to start getting down, knuckling down, and, getting out there and making this. Because if in a year I am working at Weatherspoons again, having had this opportunity, I'm going to be very upset with myself. So yeah, I need to knuckle down and I need to start doing it. I mean, I'd love to work with student script writers and stuff. Like, I've written scripts before, but I don't think I have the attention span to do it. So if someone is a script writer and they want to sit down and write a script that is based off of, my idea, and they're willing to, be very close to my idea, then I'd be happy to work with them. That's one of the things I want to do as well. Is I saw this musician the other day when I was scrolling through Instagram, and I've forgotten her name, but it was like I really liked her music, and I realize now maybe as a dude writing to just a regular girl, maybe it comes off as, probably won't open that. But I did write to her, and I basically was saying, I've read some of the comments under your music, and they're quite mean. Like, a lot of people were being very mean to her in these comments, and I really liked her songs. So I said to her, I don't know where in the world you are, but if you're ever in Brighton, I'd be happy to help you out and make a music video for you that looks professional and, is at a certain level. Because I feel like, part of that thing is I want to find people that are great and make stuff for great musicians and stuff like this that maybe haven't been discovered yet. Because I feel like there's a lot of people out there with a lot of ability and a lot of potential. They just get lost in just the mashup of just how many people there are ever doing stuff, and it's the same with people like script writers and lighting assistants, people like that. If there's people out there that you know that's what they want to do, then by all means I'd love to work with people like that, because I'm getting an opportunity that somewhat similar in a way, is like someone I think her name was Chloe Slater. She sings about cutting holes in people's pockets and stuff. It was quite cool. And there's a lot of people out there that I think deserve more, but just have no way to get it, and there we go, Bubski. There are people out there that do these small jobs that get like not noticed, and sometimes they're fantastic at doing that thing. I was lucky because I just happened to have a a friend that just kind of hooked me up, and that's how it started for me. And yeah. Is there anything anyone wants to ask, by the way? I've spent a lot of time talking and I haven't thought maybe people had some questions or something. Yeah, no, you should definitely look her up. I really, really, really enjoyed her song. I don't know, it's that sort of spoken word sort of thing. It reminds me of like a German band I heard a while ago where the person speaks French or German. I can't quite remember. Well, I'd be going to SGP this year. Huh. It depends on whether the people from SGP will have me. I'd love to go, but I think there are things planned and stuff. I don't want to promise everyone I'll be there because I don't know what the future holds, but as long as things are looking the way they are, most likely we'll be there. I would like to go anyway because I had a lot of fun last year, and I like that whole festival vibe, especially the Secret Garden Party. It's so like open and you can just do whatever you want. It felt like this crazy weekend away. And it's not that big a festival. Like some of them I hear and I'm a bit like, oh. Yeah, no, definitely. Like, if you see me there, please do come and say hi. Like, I've I've heard from Vic occasionally people have actually come up to him and said hello in the street. And I thought, well, if people had seen him, maybe one or two people that live in Brighton have seen me. But whenever I'm walking outside, I always have my headphones on and I look really angry. But it's just a look I put on so that, because I'm a really fast walker and I set my eyes on where I'm going, and people always end up just stopping in my way and stuff. So I put on this angry look so people don't, you know. Chloe Slater. Let me just make sure that's right. Chloe Slater. Yep. Here we go. She's doing pretty well. Her song's awesome. 24 Hours is out now. So, pardon me, I guess the song's out now. But yeah, it was just another one of these things where I was just like looking through and, scrolling on reels. And I do it quite a lot because we actually get a lot of our ideas from people on Reels sometimes is you'll see some really cool video work and stuff on Reels. No, just stop me and say hello. Yeah, no, I love 2023. That was a great weekend. Like, it's hard. Bump people out the way like Richard Ashcroft. Yeah, from the Verb. I should. I should. I'd love to. I'd love to do that. I wouldn't. I don't think I'd have the balls to do it though. You know, like in that Bittersweet Symphony where he's walking along and he's just shoving everyone out the way. Yeah, no, her stuff is awesome. You can say Joe sent you, but I don't think she'd know who that is. She'd be like, "Who's this Joe guy?" Maybe Flackerzfotos. I don't know. She'd probably be still like, "Who the hell is this?" But yeah, no. I was gonna say to her in her messages if she was ever in Brighton, I'd make something for her if she needed it. But I didn't want to be rude and assume that she didn't already have the means to make her own stuff. I just think sometimes when I come across these people on Instagram that I think, wow, they're cool, they could go somewhere, they got a lovely sound. There's like been a few of them recently. I think I look at the quality of the video that they're putting out and I think, imagine if you put your amazing song on, maybe they want that. That's totally fair as well. Maybe it goes with it in their mind and maybe they can make something else. This is an artistic decision. But sometimes I think I'll rephrase it. Sometimes I think I would like to make a music video to this song because something's springing into my head and I wish there was a way in which we could connect because I feel like this idea would be great. Something like that. And I feel like there are some people out there where, when they come to me with an idea and they offer me money to do it and I'm very much like, yes, hell yes. Then there are some times where I look at people and I think they look like they've got everything down, but they look like they haven't met the right people yet and they just don't have the funding because they probably were like me when I was making videos and I was working 9 to 5 and it's like you're working in 9 to 5 or you're working a shift job and there is no way you have the time and offer the wages it pays you the money to buy this sort of stuff and still live in today's economy, you know? And it's like, I have free time sometimes. I'd love to make something cool for someone like that and then see them do well. Not saying that my thing would make them do well, but, you know, shift. Yeah, I used to work a shift job. It was without the F2, but, in total it was with F as a shift job, and it was shift spelt without an F. And it made me very, 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 you know, I don't want to be here. Stop telling me what to do, when to show up, and crushing my dreams by making me work on the days that I could have actually done something. And then I have to pick up the stress ball that I got sent. Just like, It is soul crushing. And the shameful thing is, and I found this, is you get stuck in those jobs. And it's not a thing where it's the fault of the person that gets stuck in those jobs. It's just a fact of life where today, these days, the economy is how it is. And people get stuck in these jobs. And then you go and when you're working in those jobs, you realize you're surrounded by people that just have so much potential, but these massive corporations are just sucking the life out of them for every penny that they can have and paying them at these low rates and making them work these long hours to the point where people just get stuck. Like me, I got stuck until I made a really, really bad, well, good decision, but terrible financial decision to just quit the job straight. Actually, I moved job, and then I quit because I saw a ghost. Did I ever tell anyone this story of why I actually, for real, quit my actual pub job, the second one? Ren never believed this story, I don't think. He always gave me this sort of like eye when I told him. Vic, I think, believes it. A few of my other friends believe it. I told Ren last time he was down, and he turned around to me and goes, "Nah, bull crap." So I used to work at this pub called the Black Lion, and it's a lovely pub. Lovely people work there, and I haven't seen the last dinner party. I'll look it up. But yeah, so I was working this job, and it's a really, really old pub, and it's supposed to be one of the most haunted pubs in Brighton. And so the first day I'm there, and yeah, that's yeah, no, I want to make a living from what I'm doing, and I think I'm gonna get there. But I think things, yeah, I'll continue in a second. I think I really do get distracted. So yeah, I'll get there. I think in the meantime, making content can never take away from me getting there because it's something that I can always put on my show reel and it helps me. But yeah, so anyway, it's one of the most haunted pubs in Brighton, and I'm upstairs in. So my first day, I go in right, and I'm standing at the bar, and I'm supposed to be taking over as the bar manager, and this this girl comes up from the cellar, and she's like totally white, like she's like lost all the color in her face, everything, and she runs like over to someone like almost in tears. I've never seen someone look so shocked. And I went up to the guy that she was talking to, and I said, being that I'm coming in as the new bar manager, even though it's my first shift and I wasn't, doing the job, I was learning the ropes. I kind of thought, oh, maybe I should ask if everything's okay here. So I asked him, and he goes, she was downstairs and she was changing a barrel, and something coughed in her ear, and she turned around and there was nobody there. And from what I heard, it was like a very, like right in her ear, like she felt the air and everything, and then she sort of ran upstairs and like ran, and you know. So I'm I'm sort of weirded out by this, and I started asking them, and I thought I wouldn't do this because I knew if I came into a pub that was supposed to be haunted, the last thing I want to hear is ghost stories about the pub, because as a manager, I have to be in there a lot alone. And yeah, so I remember thinking to myself, should I is it full of spirits? I just remember thinking to myself, should I hear these stories or should I not? But I had to know, and I asked people, and they started telling me about how this this old pub is really haunted. And I've heard stories about the pub down the road from that called the Druid's Head. Everybody that's ever worked in the bar industry for any amount of time in Brighton has heard about the Druid's Head, because it's not supposed to be a ghost haunting it. It's supposed to be something that you don't talk about, that is a lot darker, that starts with a D. And uh, I was I was sort of in two minds whether I should ask about it, but I finally did. They told me these stories, and they were terrifying. I I remember going downstairs when they were showing me around, like what I had to do when I lock up, and you have to go to the end of this old cellar, and apparently they something to do with Oliver Cromwell, or something about a Protestant burning a Catholic or something in the Civil War or something, the English Civil War, like how many hundreds of years ago that was. That happened in the basement back when it was like still a pub. It's been a pub the entire time. I think it's an 800, 700-year-old pub. One of the previous owners of the pub had, I don't know how to say this without getting into trouble with YouTube. He'd used a rope to do something terrible from the pylon that goes over the top of the cellar basement. And I remember hearing these stories. She takes me down into the basement and is telling me, you turn off these lights, then you turn off these lights, and basically you have to turn all the lights off in the basement, do a check at the end because the lights are right at the end, and then do another check over there. And then as we're leaving, she goes, and as you're coming up, do not look in that corner. And I said to her, why? And she goes, because a lot of people, when they leave this basement and they look in that corner, they see a face. And you don't want to see it. It's not nice. And I was like, what do you mean a face? And she said, we don't know, but just don't look. So that really scared me. Then 2 nights before what happened to me that changed, like, it was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. But I was standing at the top of the staircase to the cellar where they keep food, where you eat while people are serving, and it's a particularly quiet night. I went to change the music, and I heard someone walking down there, which I thought was strange, but I thought maybe someone was down there or something, and I thought I'm not gonna fuck with this shit. I'm just gonna get out of here. So I left, walked down the bar, and it wasn't until a couple of days later that I was in the morning. I got sent upstairs to count all the money in the till. The only other people in there were the chef and one other person. And I was sitting up in this office, and you've got to count all the coins by hand to make sure that you float enough money into the till. And I heard someone say, hello. And like I sat up and I looked to like the door where it was coming from. And I walked out the door and looked around. I asked the chef downstairs, do you say hello, by the way, like 10 minutes ago when I was counting those coins? And he said, no. I asked the other manager. They said, nope. Never looked in the, never said hello. So I said, okay. So they said to me that I should go downstairs and go into the basement and, start doing the opens. And they went right upstairs. I can't remember their name, but I probably shouldn't say it anyway. But they went upstairs to the office to do some stuff. So I was completely alone downstairs. I walked through this pitch black bar, go all the way downstairs, and the cellar is completely black. And I remember there was a box right in the middle of the cellar. And I walked over to the box and I picked it up thinking, why is this on the floor? I need to put this away. And as soon as I slid it into the shelf, I've never felt anything like this before in my life, but it felt like someone was standing right behind me. And every last hair on my body stood up. I had like goose pimples. And it felt like they were literally leaning over me, like breathing down. And it was like this weird feeling of nausea and just, cold, really cold. Like it was horrifically cold. Like it didn't just feel like it was a person. It felt like it was evil. Like the air was heavy. Like, it felt like something just terrible was standing behind me. So I looked around like that, and there was nothing there, and the feeling was gone, almost. So I backed out, started walking backwards, and as I turned around to walk up the stairs, that's when I saw it, and my heart dropped. I look ahead, and there is a tall ass shadow standing right in the middle of the room. Not on a wall, not on the floor. It's like the shadow is a person standing, going straight up. And I just stopped. And it was like, I don't know how to describe this shadow, but it was the darkest thing I've ever seen. It was so black, so dark. It was like all the light around it was just being absorbed into. I don't know how to say it exactly. But you ever been in a position where there's immediate danger ahead of you and you don't feel like you can go forward, you don't want to go backwards, you're not really sure what to do, you don't want to stay there, but you can't leave because you're like glued to this. I was like frozen for a second, and then out of nowhere I thought, I'm gonna have to run. So I ran like as fast as I could towards the stairs, like almost tripping over myself. I was running so fast trying to get up these stairs. And then, like you open the door and you cannot wait to close it. You're like moving so fast, you like slam it. I ran around the corner, and there was the manager that was training me. I just looked at them and said, sorry, can't do this. I quit. Bye-bye. See ya. And then just ran out the other side, grabbed my stuff, walked out the door and closed it, and was like, cool, that's that job done. And then, yeah, I called up my dad and I was like, so Dad, I just quit my job. I think I'm going to try be a freelance photographer. Yeah. And he was like, what? He was like, well, I'm not supporting you while you do that. But then he ended up supporting me like after a few weeks, because he saw that, and like I could have gone back and worked at Weatherspoons because I was good friends with them and I left on good terms. I didn't screw them over. They thought I was going to, because I was sick in the last week, but then they realized I was actually sick. But then I came back to work when I didn't need to, and I finished my job like to the best of my ability till late at night on my last day, staying longer than I actually needed to. And I've known Matt, probably shouldn't say his name, but he was a great boss to me through the years. Like, I talked down on shift work, it's the company, not the people, that I talk down on. It's like the ideas behind it. But yeah, you could have become a paranormal photographer. I could have. I know it's pretty tame. I think it's just because a lot of the time I like to stretch the truth to my friends just as a joke, to see how deadpan I can keep my face and tell them an absolute bunch of BS and see if they still believe me. So I think after this time I've called wolf one too many times. At least it's not owned by a Soul Trader. Oh God, Joanne on the jokes tonight. Yeah, so the ghost needs to be thanked. Maybe I should go back and find it and say, look, bro, I know you were trying to scare me, but you actually set me on a path where I could make the content I wanted to with some great friends and all of that. And yeah. So that's one of my few ghost stories that I have, but that's the only time I've actually ever seen anything. All the other times it's been, I think the thing, did any of my friends believe me? A few of my friends have believed me because they know I did just quit my job straight up for no reason whatsoever. I mean, I even had to explain it to the pub manager of the Black Lion. I explained it as, yeah, I'm just not really vibing with the job, and I gave like a lot of reasons for it, but I never told him that it's because your pub is haunted and I saw a fucking shadow man in your basement. It's left me in high spirit. Oh my God. Don't stop. Let's see how far you can go with these jokes about real ghost hunting. I do have a clip of a video that I filmed the other day in the middle of nowhere with Vic. Like, the middle of nowhere. We went out in the dark, but that's for a vlog that will be coming at some point in the future. But yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm actually surprised that girl that got coughed in her ear didn't quit. You know, if something coughed in my ear, I'd never go back down to that basement again. In fact, the entire time I was there, whenever I went down to the basement and they changed a barrel, I used my power as a manager when no one else was around to make everyone else go change the barrels but me. They'd be like, but Joe, you're the only one not doing anything. So I said, yeah, but I can do what you're currently doing and you can leave the till and stop serving that customer. Go change the barrel and I can finish your pint because I'm the manager. So, yeah, not because I'm scared and a wimp, but because, I'm in charge, sorta. Yeah. It's the It'll probably get them more visits now because people will want to go if they see this. It's the Black Lion in Brighton. It's where we usually go for our nights out. So whenever Ren was here and we'd go out with Jess, Ren, all them, we'd go to the Black Lion. There was one night I was there and we had this friend and he used to try and jump over the edge of the Black Lion, and so many weird things have happened in that pub with us, like, but not ghost stories, just about us having fun times on night out. We all used to go there, meet up there. I remember once a friend of mine got into a lot of trouble because of some silly person he was with that said something really silly, and the police came and arrested him. And I watched another long-haired friend of mine that you might have seen on a live playing in Spain earlier try and stop said people while he was really drunk, which didn't really work out. I've seen another guy that sings really, really high and low and is an amazing singer and has done stuff with. I don't know why I'm like covering all their names. But yeah, there was one time I watched, I won't say his name because it's a bit. Basically, a friend of mine, Ren, and Vix was trying to jump into this pub, and the bouncer kept catching him and chucking him back out, and then the bouncer would be like, "Don't try it again," because he'd snuck in about 7 times. I was talking to Ren. There's a guy, Sam Tompkins, and who else? Goran, and I think was there. Vic was there. Vic had another thing happen to him that night, which was, I will never say what happened to him that night, but that was a really funny night because this guy kept running in and jumping in, and he'd like sneak around everybody and he'd come and he'd merge in with everybody and pretend like he wasn't himself, but we'd be like, dude, you're still outside. The bouncers can see you. Look, they're coming. And then they'd grab him like a baby and throw him back over the barrier. And like he'd keep trying to run in and jump in and all that. And it was very funny. I think Kai. There were so many of us out that night. It was a really good night. I miss those days. Like, yeah. And then there was the time we tried to sneak into the Spiegel tent, and almost the same thing happened. This guy was always very good at getting into places that he wasn't supposed to be. So it was quite funny. Yeah. Anyway, that was my ghost story. And a bit of a story about some other guy that I can't name because it's just too mean. uh, yeah. Okay, I'm just reading through. Joanne flavored some ghost peppers. Joe the volcano. Mr. Bitch Pub. Bye, everyone. Aw. You gotta say bye. What's your favourite pub? Grub. Pork goulash. I'm actually vegetarian. Did you know? Not by choice, but because my parents raised me vegetarian. So, yeah, I don't actually eat meat. So maybe vegetable ghoulish. I know it was a joke, by the way. Uh, yeah, yeah, no. That was fun, like back in the days. I think it was over the lockdown where we made most of our memories. It was sort of that weird part of lockdown that happened. I don't know if it happened anywhere else, but Brighton was quite fortunate that we were released from most of the harsh lockdown bits quite a lot earlier than a lot of other places. So we were able to start socializing with people and stuff like that, but they didn't let pubs reopen. So being a pub worker, I got to stay at home being paid like 75% of my salary to not really do anything, but we were allowed to go and start mingling with people and start being social, and places had started opening, but pubs were like the last thing that I can remember hadn't opened or something like that. So there was this whole gap where most people were still in full lockdown, where we started getting out of lockdown, where Brighton was sick because no one from outside Brighton was coming in, so the place was just empty. But it was the middle of summer, and it was such good weather, and every day everyone would be down at the beach partying and stuff like that. And we had to make sure it was socially distanced partying, so there was like space between everyone at these beachfront raves that just went on. But yeah, I think people at first were kind of like, oh, won't this restart like the whole lockdown? But it never did. So in the end, it was fine. But also, we all tested, and I believe 99% of us were safe. I did hear of one or two people being unsafe, but then again, I don't know. I'm not getting into the politics of all that because I don't know what was going on. And people have strong beliefs on that, and I don't want to start that. But yeah, that was the best time in Brighton, I reckon, was those days, because like if you'd seen, there was a video someone put out a while ago of Ram busking on the seafront, then there was like the big push busking on the seafront, there was like all this stuff was always happening, everyone was always like having a good time, it was one big party. And I think the nuts thing about it is, if you look back at that time, so many people from that era have gone on to do really well now. Like a lot of people that I knew back then that were, not that they weren't doing well back then, have gone on to, just blow up. And it's nuts that at one point a lot of these people were all sitting around together on the beach, you know, like Vic. I met Vic at a house party one night and I thought he was Little Peep. Yeah. Anyway, is there any, why do I think that happened? Hmm. I don't actually know. I think it's that some people were lucky enough to have platforms. So, like, the big push got to a certain level over lockdown where people having the time to be watching YouTube and, looking for new content. I feel like lockdown was a great time for, content creators and content, because if you had good stuff, there was this never ending market of people needing to be entertained while they sat at home. Whereas now, I know if I post my video, let's say a premiere on Monday at 10 a.m., not that that would have worked in lockdown, but, I know a lot of people are going to be working and stuff like that. But back then, most nights people were home, a good portion of people, and most people just needed entertaining. So it was a good time. And I feel like a lot of people capitalized on that really well. And then it helped them later in life when they started doing their own artistic things and they came up with some great stuff, and it just exploded because they had a large number of people behind it already, so they weren't starting from scratch. They could just explode off of what they had before, and luckily their content was good enough that, people would watch it and they go, damn, that is good. Like, Ren always had like a big following, but then he had High Ren, and that was like, you know if enough people see this, it's really hard to say, well, that's not just amazing, and it's the same with, like, you know people like Vic and stuff. He got himself, luckily, a really good friend that let him make a tune with him that has now shown how good he is at stuff. And he's a constantly evolving guy. If you've seen the song that he did a promo for the other day, it's like, if I listen to that song and I listen to something that he made when he was first starting out, it's like he's grown so much in that time. It's like, when he first started out, you know it's just it's crazy because you can see people grow with it. And yeah, basically, a rising tide lifts all ships. It's like, I mean, I'm the guy that took a few photos, for God's sake, and I've had a bit of a lift. So it's like, can you imagine the people with the music? And I've always said this, like, people like me, we are, in all sense of purposes, meant to be in the background making the content for the people that go in the front. And it's nothing against myself. It's where I've always thought I'd want to end up. Is I want to make the movie. I don't want to be in the movie. I'd still be in the movie if someone offered me it, but it's just, it's risen up this much that we're all lucky that we have people that are this interested in all of us as you guys are. Because, I mean, it's not very often that you find someone able to hold this many people watching him doing stuff that he's done. And it's crazy. It's all great. It's like a dream come true. And it's why, going back to the beginning of this, I was saying I don't want to take it for granted, and I don't want to you know not do my best and make it because I've been given an opportunity. And I also would like people that, like you say, working your 9 to 5. It's like, I want to show people that, I mean, it's not always the best decision because people have got a lot of things that, you work your 9 to 5 to support, and there's a lot of reasons why you work those jobs to support them. But I do want to show, maybe one day, if I am successful like I want to be, that maybe if you do follow your dreams and you do believe in it, it can happen, and that it's not out of the realm of possibility for everybody that the same thing happens. Because, I've got my camera, and the only reason I can do some of the stuff with my camera is because I've taken the time to learn it and I've practiced. And, it's the same for everybody. I don't think anything is impossible except flying by yourself, maybe. Don't try that. Don't listen to this and then walk up onto the top of a building and try and fly off of your own will, because that doesn't work all the time. None of the time. Probably none of the time. That's not good. Don't try that. But yeah, everything else that you want to do, you can make come true. It's just determination. I've watched Vic with it. He never believes he can fail. And it's not that he cannot fail, it's just that he's got such an adamant belief that he's going to get somewhere that he will get there. And I have that belief in him as well. And yeah, just not the top of the building, because that, yeah. So yeah, I feel like I've talked for quite a while now. My voice is getting dry. Anyway, I'd like to I'd like to thank everybody for tonight. Uh, I was gonna say one thing, and pardon me, it's I don't have a PO box unfortunately to send stuff to. I'm afraid. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so I'm building this camera currently, and I've noticed like recently there have been a few people that have like supported my channel and stuff, and I just wanted to let people know that in the future any support that they give will go directly towards building this camera and making better content to put on this YouTube. So that's where that's all currently going. I'm going to sell more photos tomorrow because it's the 26th at midnight, so a new photo will be going up. And yeah, also I have noticed this sometimes when I say that I've got something that I'm building, people put it on stuff like the Wren's Rabbit Hole and stuff like that. Just in case that's going to happen, I don't want that to go there. Just last time I feel like there was some people feel a bit negative about that sort of thing, and I feel like we're all close enough here that I could say things, but like I don't want people out there to feel any pressure towards doing anything for me, because I totally got this. It's my responsibility to do this. I just wanted to point that out because last time I spoke about cameras, you guys raised a crazy amount of money, and it was very nice of you, and I appreciate that so much. But I know people are dealing with a lot of stuff in their own life, and I don't want people to do that. But I love you all a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you all have a pleasant night, and I look forward to making tons of cool stuff for you in the next few months. Cool. Thank you.